Neo-Nazis and other rabble of modern times.
After many years of perpetrating a series of murders by a neo-Nazi trio, it finally ended in November 2011, the circumstances being that two men in a murder group were found dead in a burning house, while a female murderer was arrested and put behind bars. The Nazi gang of criminals roamed Germany, murdering for over 10 years, planting bombs, murdering a policewoman, robbing banks and committing murder of several bona fide Turkish immigrants working in Germany. Sympathisers, confidants and possible accomplices are also suspected, and some such people are also in custody. Well, this murderous rabble is on everyone's lips since the aforementioned event since November 2011. From the point of view of righteousness, all the creatures mentioned in the above context in the truest sense of the word do not deserve to be called human beings in any way. Although they are human beings according to their form and species, humanity and compassion towards fellow human beings is completely foreign to them, especially towards those who are discriminated against, terrorized, persecuted, and murdered by the racist sentiments of neo-Nazis and other right-wing extremists. Those from among their own people who, out of righteousness, a sense of order and justice, as well as honor, dignity and real humanity, rebel against, as is among its inhuman actions, deeds, slogans, riots and speeches, must also suffer under the racist hatred. Neo-Nazis, racists and other right-wing extremists are deadly calculating, cold in themselves, uncaring, contemptuous of human beings and life and, strictly speaking, incapable of a dignified, honest, humble and sincere life. This is regardless of whatever their motives may be that led them to commit such monstrous crimes and misdeeds as those committed by the murderous neo-Nazi trio. False compassion and false humanism are just as out of place against these creatures as is also a mitigation of punishment through questionable psychological causes or the wrong political influence and so on, which are supposed to justify their bloodthirsty actions and deeds. The fact is that every rational and rational human being is always and comprehensively responsible for his own actions and deeds in every respect. This also applies in full to all thoughts and feelings, and also if the human being may have had to endure a difficult adolescence, if the human being may have been badly treated or otherwise physically and psychologically abused as a child, adolescent or adult. All this is certainly not easy to cope with and neutralize, but it is the duty of every human being, and he also has the possibility to tackle such problems and to overcome them himself or if necessary with the help of third parties. And this can and must be done in such a way that the negative consequences that have arisen are comprehensively processed in the psyche and in the consciousness. Consequently, a healthy, rational and reasonable life is led and the human being can integrate righteously into society. Crimes of any kind and severity are never to be justified or even understood, because nothing entitles a human being to pass on his own existing problem to other human beings, just as nothing entitles him to take out his own failure in mastering his own life on other human beings through violence or to supposedly compensate for it. Neo-Nazis, as well as all other extremists of all kinds, whether they call themselves right-wing, left-wing, autonomous, religious, political or otherwise, as individuals, groups or organizations, and are dominated and controlled by insane, anti-life and despicable ideologies, are figures who are simply sick in the head. They cannot or do not want to recognize that all human beings are absolutely equal and have equal rights, no matter what race, people, nationality, creed, social status, and so on they belong to. Righteous human beings are to be unconditionally respected, honored, appreciated, and not only tolerated but recognized as such. Whoever acts against this violates the corresponding preternatural law and commandments, for these state that all kinds of unreal, anti-life and anti-human ideologies, actions, deeds, words and speeches are absolutely contrary to creation and nature and violate the rules of a safe life. Human beings who adhere to false ideologies spread their ideas in this regard and allow themselves to be carried away to criminal or even criminal action, deeds and speeches and so on by their false and human and anti-life attitude, thereby exclude themselves from the circle of human society. Consequently, this must be enforced by corresponding laws without ifs and buts in order to protect the righteous human community. Elements violating law and order, that is to say delinquent in the aforementioned manner, must be brought to suitable places of fulfillment of measures, where they must be instructed under supervision about the creative and natural laws and commandments with regard to life, the conduct of life and dealing with fellow human beings, society and the state. Those who are guilty should have to earn their own living through hard work, but psychological and physical punishment, torture and other forms of ill treatment of all kinds, or even the death penalty, must not be used against criminals and offenders in any case. This is not in conformity with the creative and natural laws and commandments. Consequently, such actions may not be applied even to the worst criminal. A temporary or an effectively lifelong exclusion from society, by transferring the offenders to safe places of fulfillment of measures, is fully sufficient. If, however, this is contrived by human laws, by revenge, hatred and retaliation, and so on, then this also corresponds to a punishable and degenerating act by legislation, jurisdiction and judges, and so on. This is because every life form must be able to live its life unharmed by violence and abuse in order to learn and evolve. Thus, no life may be killed and murdered by any law or otherwise, because no life may ever be ended by violence, either by one's own hand or by a foreign hand. Every good human being who strives for the truth must fight against extremist ideas with all righteous and humane means, distance himself from all thoughts, feelings, words, actions and deeds that despise human being, and do everything to ensure that true humanity, compassion, peace, freedom and harmony, as well as respect, understanding, tolerance, respect, and love, as well as all virtues, once again find their place in human society, by each creating these values within himself and also living them. And if the individual does this, then he does it for his own benefit and good, as well as for his neighbor, for his fellow human beings and for humanity as a whole. The individual's example in this respect is the great value that spreads to the environment, from which ultimately all of humanity benefits in a progressive way.
Concept Action Wolf, Germany. Liberation Billy.